I can. Yeah, me.
We do. We are ready whenever you are.
Okay, good. Don't have any injuries for you. Updates there yet. Guys are coming in. All in all, it was a good win yesterday. You know, that's a tough place to play, and they've got all these games that they've lost by just one score. So to be able to put together, uh, you know, points on the board with some really good things. 6 out of the 8 first possessions were really good drives for us, and offensively, and then defensively to be able to come back and do what we did there. I thought was good. They had a couple drives that they put together, but for the most part, our defense I thought just did a real nice job. I thought special teams did a nice job. I mentioned Tommy yesterday at the beginning of the press conference after the game, and that punt of his was really something special. So at a good time, and a good time for it to happen. So all in all, coming out of that game with the results that we had, I thought were positive, and there's some good things to build on. Plenty of stuff to work on. But some good things definitely took place. I liked where Pat was in the game and the job that he did. Again, throwing for over 300 yards, and some of the turnover issue was a little bit self-inflicted from our standpoint. We've got to catch the ball better and so on. So, and then Clyde to step in and do what he did, I thought was he really did a nice job there with the running back spot. And then there were some nice things that were done by the receivers, tight ends. I thought there were some real positive things done there. The offensive line that's a good defensive front, and obviously by their run game, the way they've presented themselves in the run game, they're first in the league. So we were able to do some things there to keep them off balance. Defensively, again, the pressure we were able to put on the quarterback, whether it was from a linebacker position, secondary position, from the defensive line, I thought was that's tough to stop from an offensive standpoint. So I thought that was productive there. I thought some of the tackling that we did was very good. And you've got to be able to do that down the stretch, in particular in cold weather games. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach. I know that Kadarius has all this explosive upside. We saw it in the Super Bowl, but I got to imagine the turnovers that have, the drops that led to turnovers and the penalty. It's been frustrating to him and you. Do you get the sense that you're going to continue to lean in, Tim, with the same amount of opportunities? And if so, what gives you the confidence that in these final 3 games ahead of the postseason, he could turn it around?
Yeah, Pete, I'm not going to get into all that. I mean, the obvious is that he's got to make sure he catches the ball and does that. He's got a tremendous amount of talent. So he's a good kid. Good attitude, good kid. So, but you got to make those plays. He knows it as well as anybody. So I'll leave it at that.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Coach, I have 2 questions for you. The first is you played more 2 tight end and 3 tight end sets in yesterday's game. I'm just wondering, is that a Patriot-specific sort of game plan, or is that something you think you can lean more on as the season progresses? And Brad, I'll have another question.
Yeah, we've been doing quite a little bit of that, throughout the year. And Noah is a good football player, and so we've tried to utilize him more as we go, and still has a big dose of the special team. So but he's done very well, and then Blake has also done a nice job when called on. So we feel comfortable with the three tight end positions too. We've done that though throughout, but to have the flexibility, Nate, to be able to give them different personnel groups, still use the three wides, I think is good also. So good mixture helps.
And secondly, Coach, just for clarification purposes, I know you said Friday that Pacheco had his cleanup surgery, I guess earlier last week. Was that like an arthroscopic surgery? And do you know if that was just to clean up cartilage or if there was sort of tissue from the muscle that he needed to sort of get repaired on?
No, it wasn't the muscle. But he'll be back this week. You know, he'll be good to go this week. So unless there's further setback, but I mean, right now everything's positive for him to go, and he really had clearance last week from the fellow that did the surgery to go. So it was just a matter of being precautious on it. And that's you know, not precaution, but cautious on it. So, did your mom not teach you how to make your bed back there, my man? Doggone you. Huh?
I'll get on that, Coach.
Yeah. All right.
We'll go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
I'm Brad. I'll have a follow-up as well. Coach, I know you mentioned, there are things to clean up, but, you kind of got away with maybe a couple of the things that have been, consistent problems for you. Rashi had another fumble. He was able to recover it. Sky had a fumble that you got back because of the penalties. Did you see progress in the ball security? I mean, is it something that still remains as big a problem as it's ever been?
Yeah, you can't have those things, Seren. We've got to do a better job of hanging onto the football. Absolutely covered in traffic. Rice actually had it covered, and then he took his arm off it when he kind of spun around. And as important as these guys are, as hard as they're playing to get those extra yards, there's a point where the ball security overrules that. And young guys, they have to figure that out. And, we've got to do better. You got to keep that thing up against your body. You got to keep it high and tight and covered in traffic. I mean, that's, and if it takes you out of that element by trying to spin around and make extra yards, you got to forget about that and keep the ball secured. So we've got to do better there. Yes.
And then the other one, Patrick, the cameras caught him pretty frustrated, after the second interception when he came over. Do you worry about when those things go on? You mentioned guys securing the ball and maybe even Blake fighting a little, positioning better. I don't know if there was a technique that he could have done better, maybe to help him out on that first one. But do you worry about Patrick's frustration level and that could boil over and affect his play?
Listen, I think he's competitive, Seren. Just like you are, right? I mean, we all are. We're in this thing. You got to get your numbers, and we got to get our numbers and W's and L's and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's a competitive business. So if you're, and he drives that thing. That's he's you want what he has, and so his demand on guys ends up being a big part of this, and makes us what we are. I mean, makes us better, and the great ones do that. And so, listen, you're going to drop the ball, or you're going to tip a ball, or you're going to fumble a ball. He's gonna let you know, let's go, in whatever manner he does, and he gets on himself if he does something negative. I mean, it's but that's a welcome thing. But I don't think it is a negative. I don't think it's a discouraging thing for him, or he's very competitive and wants it right.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. Two questions. One's just a quick kind of cleanup from Nate. When you're talking about Pacheco being back this week, is it just available to practice, or do you feel, barring any setback, he's ready to go against the Raiders?
Yeah, no, I think he'll play this week, Matt. Yeah, I think he'll be ready to go. and that was the clearance that he had to be able to do that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
And secondly, obviously you've got some rotations changing at the receiver position. Two players in particular I'm kind of curious about, with Richie James and how he kind of fits into that room, and then when the return of Justin Ross, how you kind of see him fitting in as well after an absence.
Yeah, we'll have to see on Ross just where that goes. I'll get with Veach today, and we'll go through all that. Richie, though, has got to play more than 2 snaps, so that's my that's my responsibility on that. I didn't have him in on enough stuff, and he's a good football player, though.
We'll go last to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about the first touchdown yesterday and kind of the design of that play. And Patrick talked about after the game, you guys have been working on it for a while. How often do you guys have to run a play that's a little different than a normal play before you trust it? And we'll put that in there, and what that process is like. And when it works, how much fun it can be.
Sure. Todd, that thing, I've been saying I was going to call it the last few weeks, and there wasn't the right opportunity to do that. But that was a good spot for it right there. But it wasn't because we were ready to run it at that time. That's not what I'm saying. We've been ready for the last few weeks on it. But you work on it once or twice a week, and then you build enough weeks on it, then you feel pretty good about that, to answer your question on whatever play it is. So yeah, it's kind of different. That one was obviously a little different. That was from I believe it was the Penn Columbia game in like the 40s. So yeah.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys. Thank you.